Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and we are live from Hudson Media Group's North Bergen studio here, of course, in North Bergen, like I just said. And this is your one-stop shop for sports picks, politics and government chatter, and even some neighborhood restaurant reviews. Instead of going to 3 different channels, you can come right here every week for the Pulse on everything you need to know. And as mentioned last week, our resident foodie, Mai Rana, is unfortunately not with us again today, but she will be back next week after trying out all these great places in the last 2 weeks. So we look forward to another food review next week. But why don't we begin with our picks with Peter B segment, and we're joined live in studio by Mr. Eric Cruz and Devin Inholson. Gentlemen, what's going on? Happy post-Thanksgiving show, huh?
Did you eat enough?
Did I ever? Can't you tell on camera that I ate enough?
No.
It's like completely ridiculous. I mean, goodness gracious. Anyway, let's jump right in because can you believe it? We're already in week 12.
Oh my God.
Week 12. And our first game's an interesting matchup. We got the 5-5 Seattle Seahawks. Came off a monster win last Thursday night's game against the Green Bay Packers. They're going to Carolina, who of course lost that game, went for a 2-point conversion. At the end of the game, lost to the Detroit Lions last week, which is probably going to be a tough loss. And here's what's interesting about this game. So both of these teams really don't have a shot for their division, but it's a big game for the NFC wildcard because Seattle's only a game behind Carolina. Eric, what are your thoughts about this game?
My thoughts about this game is that this is going to be a dogfight. It's really, you're going to see 2 teams that are going to put it on the line. You're going to see 2 physical teams. I like the Seahawks in this game just, again, based off of what they're doing in the running game. The Carolina Panthers are shown to be vulnerable against the run. James Conner had a big game against them 2 weeks ago. Last week they had a tough time stopping the run against the Detroit Lions. I like the Seahawks travel. They're going to Detroit. Yeah. I like them, again, with Russell Wilson. You know, he's always going to give them a chance, especially last week against Green Bay coming back. And for me, Carolina, I'm really not sold on Carolina. This game is going to really catapult them to see, you know, what team they really are going down the stretch. So I'm going to go with Seattle in an upset against Carolina.
I don't. There's something about Carolina. I've been calling them frauds all year. They might have a good record. They lost a couple now, but there's something about them. They don't have much of an identity as opposed to the Seahawks, who have a nice structure. You know, they know they're going to run the ball well. You know, Russell Wilson. It's going to be the battle of the quarterbacks in this game. Yeah. Cam against Russell Wilson. Yeah. You know, so for me, I'm with Eric on this. I'm tired of picking the Panthers. You know, they got lit up by the Steelers. They don't have a very good defense. There's only 3 other defenses that give up more points per time of possession, and the other ones aren't very good. The Saints and Niners and all that. So for me, I'm gonna pick the Seahawks in this because I like Russell Wilson and the running game. And the Panthers, you don't know what you're gonna get out of them. They got injuries in the wide receiver department as well.
Right. So it's the battle of mobility quarterbacks. I mean,
yeah.
It is. Versus you guys hit the nail on the head with Cam Newton.
And Christian McCaffrey, I mean, I think the Seahawks can match up well against him. So
he's got to get going a little bit too. He's got to get going.
So our second game, and 5s are wild. You got the 5-5 Indianapolis Colts, who are red hot. I mean, won 4 in a row now. Going down to Miami to play a 5-5 Miami Dolphins team that I think there's one word to describe their season, and that's inconsistent. Yeah. Right or wrong. So this is a really tough game to analyze. I'm glad you guys are doing it and not me. Eric, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to go with the hot team right now, and that's the Indianapolis Colts. Andrew Luck has come back stronger than ever. He's proving that, I mean, he's actually putting himself in the MVP talk. I mean, they started off really slow, and he's just put the team on his back. Making great throws, throwing the ball still, 30, 40 times a game. He's on the road, 3 touchdowns in the last 4 or 5 games. Yep. And for me, the Indianapolis Colts are also running the ball well. They got something going with Marlon Mack. They still use Hines in the passing game. And Eric Ebron, although he had a tough game last year, I don't think he made a catch, but he's an X factor in this game, especially against the Miami Dolphins, who they're banged up in the secondary. And Ryan Tannehill coming back is going to help them. I just don't think it's going to be enough. He's still got to get his juices going. I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts.
Well, that's the thing, that the Dolphins, you don't know what the Dolphins are really good at. They don't run the ball very well. They give up a lot on the ground. You know, you can run on them, you can pass on them. They have a good secondary, but they can get beat. You saw what happened against the Texans. And they give up big plays. And they rely on trickery, the Dolphins. And, you know, Tannehill coming back is going to be big, but there's something about their Colts offense. This is a game where Marlon Mack, they should make it a point to run the ball because, like I said, they're like 26 against the run. So for me, Andrew Luck is if it wasn't for Mahomes, Andrew Luck would be getting all the attention.
Yeah.
So for me,
Absolutely.
I think that what he's doing is amazing. He's coming back, resurgent year, and they're going to just keep chipping away what they do on third down and just keep powering up the points.
And look for T.Y. Hilton to have a big game. He's really coming down. He's really coming along for the deep
Ebron,
drive.
like you said, Ebron and Doyle, the tight ends, are going to be big in this game.
Big,
I'm picking the
absolutely.
Colts as well.
Yeah. Well, let's stay in the AFC South, why don't we here? It's a huge Monday night football game. You know, you have the Tennessee Titans going at it against the Houston Texans, who, of course, have won 7 in a row, probably the hottest team in the AFC right now. Now, Tennessee, they came off 2 big wins against Dallas and New England, but then got thumped last week against these Colts that we just spoke about.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to think that if Tennessee has any shot for the division, this is a must-win, right or wrong, Eric?
Absolutely. And I'm going to go with Houston in this game. They're at home. They're feeling it right now. Defensively, they got J.J. Watt going. Jadeveon Clowney has proven all year that he's unblockable. And for me, Deshaun Watson at home, he just plays so well. Although he does have turnover issues, but they're going to get Lamar Miller going. The Tennessee Titans, they travel well. They're going to play really good defense, even though they had a bad one against Indianapolis. But, you know, the Colts are hot. But I think with Kiki Kuti coming back and Demaryius Thomas still getting a little bit more used to the playbook, and obviously DeAndre Hopkins being the star out there, I think that the Texans at home on the run is going to take care of Tennessee and continue running the division for at least another week.
That's the thing. I don't know.
At least another week.
I like that.
Good.
I don't believe in the Titans. You know, even though they had those big wins, they don't scare. To me, they don't really scare anybody. You know, Mariota has to be really, really good for him to win games. You know, his passer rating was in the hundreds, 115, 124, the last 2 wins that they had, but then came back down to life.
You want to talk about inconsistency? We were saying the Dolphins were inconsistent,
That's
right?
what I'm saying. They don't have enough fight. They don't run. And the thing is, they're not even running the ball well this year. Imagine if they had that going, maybe better, but they don't scare me. And the Texans, like you said, being home, they're flying high. They have a good offense. Their defense is playing really, really well. I think it was a top 8 defense right now.
Yeah, they're definitely top 10 right now.
I really like where they're heading. Them being home, Eric said the tragedy that they had within the organization.
Yeah, that's
sometimes you rally around that. I'm not going to say that's the reason why, but I think that, you know, they got.
It's interesting you bring that up because, you know, obviously we're not talking about this past week's games, but we could talk about Michael Gallup down in Dallas. I mean, obviously with the unfortunate passing of his brother at the end of last week's game.
Yeah, you know, the team rallies around. They rally. They want to do it for their guy. You know,
something about that. Houston strong, Vegas strong. Look at those teams. They go deep into it. I'm just saying, there's something about it. But
No
it's,
matter
you
who's
know,
strong,
I believe in the Texans this week as well.
Texans, look at that.
I'm not even. I know. Am I
of
jumping on the bandwagon here?
A little bit. I don't know. He is 12 and 4. I said I wasn't going to bring this up. But 12 and 4 in the last 16.
You got to mention that.
But it could change every week. So
exactly. Well, anyway, that is Mr. Eric Cruz, and that's Mr. Devin Inholson, our sports insiders every week here on the Pulse of Peter B, breaking down the 3 biggest matchups on the NFL schedule. When we come back, we have Mr. Josh Sotomayor Einstein in studio. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be back.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights. Your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments. Carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants. All major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer a Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Introducing the MyJCMC app, powered by Practice Unite. The free MyJCMC app puts the power of healthcare at your fingertips. Go to the concierge for access to referrals, scheduling, and appointments, see emergency room wait times, and get directions to Jersey City Medical Center health locations. Read the latest JCMC news through their social media feed, find a doctor, and more. The MyJCMC app. We belong to you.
It takes more than a state-of-the-art medical facility to make a great hospital. It takes a team of dedicated medical professionals. That's the Jersey City Medical Center, Hudson County's #1 hospital. Medical teams consisting of New Jersey's top doctors, Magnet Award-winning nurses, and accomplished hospital associates, all committed to your good health. That's what you have at the Jersey City Medical Center. Make Hudson County's #1 hospital your first choice. Visit us on the web at barnabashealth.org.
Welcome back to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and this is our Politics with Peter B segment, joined live in studio by none other than the man, the myth, the legend. That was Eric last week, but since he has 2 segments this week, it is Mr. Josh Sotomayor Einstein. Josh, how are you, my man?
Good. It was a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope you and our viewers had a great Thanksgiving as well.
Very good. I did, and I hope our viewers did as well, and I'm glad that you decided to bring them up. So let's talk about a topic that's getting a lot of attention. It's going to take 2 segments. It might take longer the way you answer questions, and that is the legalization of marijuana in the state of New Jersey. And why don't we start out at the state level? So right now, it looks like the legislature and Governor Murphy finally have something boiling down in Trenton, meaning that it looks like they're going to vote for the legalization of recreational marijuana as early as Monday, the 26th. Now, the holdup was that Senator Sweeney really didn't think that marijuana, the tax on marijuana, I should say, should be over 12%, and the governor is saying that we need to play with that number. Do you really think that was the holdup, or what do you think the holdup actually was down in Trenton?
I think the fact is that Murphy is a millionaire with no previous political experience who bought the Democratic nomination and then bought the governor's office. So without any political capital or relationships, him saying, when he was running that we're going to legalize this right away was like a lot of his promises, a pipe dream. And especially a man of his lack of political experience, he had to be high to think that he was going to accomplish anything so quickly. But it just goes back to his pattern.
You're on fire today.
Hold on, it goes back to his pattern. Remember last week when we talked about his horrible response to the storm, this is a man that is not ready for the office that he occupies. It's on display again. The fact is that Senate President Sweeney is driving the conversation. He's the one that's in charge in Trenton. He's the responsible adult in the room in this situation. He said we don't want a sales tax on marijuana that is over 12%. Right. And he's the one with the political capital, the one with the political relationships. If I had to bet, I would bet on Sweeney getting his way and not Murphy.
Very interesting, very, very interesting. And since you love harping on the governor's office, you did last week and you certainly did now, his office released a statement and it said, Governor Murphy remains committed to legalizing adult use marijuana, a critical step in eliminating racial disparities in our criminal justice system. So Josh, I have to ask you, is this really the case, or is this law just to create tax revenue?
Well, there's a couple of things to dissect there, and I think the first thing is the term that's in vogue right now amongst anti-prohibitionists, those who want to legalize marijuana, and I am one of them, but I really dislike the term adult use marijuana. It makes it sound like you're going into a X-rated sex shop in the Village like 10 years ago.
But the minimum age is going to be 21 years old. So
which
I
is
guess
fine.
When they say adults,
that's the minimum use for alcohol as well. But we don't say we don't call every restaurant that serves alcohol or has a bar section, we don't call it an adult use restaurant.
Not yet.
We don't
everything
call
is
it
going PG these days.
An alcoholic recreational restaurant. It's a little bit ridiculous word creation, neologism here. And when we talk about, jumping ahead to the last part for a second, when we talk about revenue, there's a tendency amongst many bureaucrats and people committed to government as the solution to all of our problems to find the next big thing that's somehow going to solve New Jersey's budget problems. At one point it was gambling. People always talk about gambling like, oh, it's going to fill all the budgetary holes that we have. And now people are talking about marijuana as if it's going to solve all the billions of dollars that the state doesn't have because it spends like a drunken sailor And that's just not true. Marijuana should be legalized because what consensual adults decide that they want to do that is nonviolent should not be a criminal act.
Right.
all
Now, what do you have to say to those proponents
when it-
that
well,
are
hold on,
against the legalization, that say it's a gateway drug?
I don't want to miss the middle part of your question. I
Sure.
think it's important, and the first question to go back to that is about the racial disparity. And I think that is a fact, and I think it is an injustice. And this isn't to indict all of American history, like very in vogue in certain corners of the American political discussion, but it is to recognize that that it's easier to walk down the street smoking a J. You shouldn't smoke a J in public, but it's easier to do so as a person who is white or white passing and not get arrested by the police than it is as a person of color.
Right, absolutely. So now you have these proponents, including a governor who you actually liked, who I couldn't stand, and most of New Jersey kind of agreed with me there, in Governor Christie, who said that he didn't want to legalize it. And this is these guys that are against the legalizations, these people who are coming out against it, they're calling it a gateway drug. He has said that over and over again, and that's why he didn't want to legalize it.
Well, first,
so
let's not put words in my mouth. I've never said that I like Christie. I did support a lot of his endeavors, and when he changed the law with the legislature, and also going back to saying a lot of people didn't like him, he was elected twice in a blue state, so you're wrong there.
He was.
But
he also left with the lowest approval rating out of any governor in the state of New Jersey.
And Governor Murphy will be a one-term governor just like Corzine.
But
the reality is that Christie, one good thing that he did was for first-time drug offenders, instead of locking them up, throwing them away, and ruining their life, he directed them into treatment programs. And I think whatever type of drug it is, that's the thing that we need to do.
It's civil justice reform, absolutely. But what do you have to say to those people who are like, let's not legalize marijuana because it's a gateway drug? And Christie was one of those people. Do you think you're just painting a house like Murphy is by saying that we need criminal justice reform?
So I think the fact of the matter is that there's a reason that very few people say it's a gateway drug anymore. That's been debunked with the opioid crisis and alcohol abuse. People understand that addiction often starts in the home, whether it's in the liquor cabinet or in the pill cabinet in the bathroom. So people understand that marijuana may be a point along that map that people go to hard drug abuse. But it honestly doesn't often actually start with pot. The worst that happens when someone gets quote unquote too high is they go to sleep. And the worst that happens with alcohol or prescription drug abuse or hard drugs and whatnot can be death. So the mythology that we were all taught in DARE, which honestly taught me a lot about drugs.
Drug abuse resistance education.
I would not have known. I would not have known
Yeah.
until much later what all these things were. Is just
So you're
that.
saying they should have taught it in high school and not in elementary school?
It was kind of a weird backwards how-to.
I completely
Very,
agree.
very strange.
Really quickly, 10 seconds. 10 states have legalized marijuana now. Is New Jersey behind the eighth ball here?
It is, but it's going to happen in the state of New Jersey. It's a question of whether or not the state will stick its regulatory sticky fingers into it, as it has done in almost every other industry, and pervert the market and create negative incentives for people.
Interesting. Well, folks, if you haven't had enough weed talk, or marijuana talk, I should say, Mr. Josh Sotomayor Einstein will be back in our next segment as well. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in 10 high-rise rental towers with amenities such as the on-site Newport Path subway, light rail and ferry service, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams Supermarket is just outside your front door. A health and fitness club, spa, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. NewportNJ.com. Enjoy the New York skyline from Newport Town Square. Manhattan is just one path stop away or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Want to visit Newport? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. Go to NewportNJ.com for details. Newport has luxurious towers, great restaurants, shopping, New York skyline views, schools, playgrounds, a marina and yacht club, gym, spa, fine wine, fine living. It's incredible. It's you. NewportNJ.com. Newport, live like you want.
Pan and Pinto Properties, Jersey City. shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces that address your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintoproperties.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Welcome back to the Pulse of Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and we still have our Extra Politics with Peter B segment. Still joined in studio by Mr. Josh Sotomayor Einstein, and that was a heated discussion in our second segment, wasn't it? I mean, instead of talking on a state level now, why don't we talk about how the legalization of recreational marijuana affects local municipalities, especially here in Hudson County. So you had mayors such as Union City Mayor Brian Stack and Sea Caucus Mayor Mike Cannelli come out and say that they're banning and selling the manufacturing or the creating of marijuana in their cities. Will this go against state law?
So the state law allows municipalities to opt out or opt in.
I see. Okay.
So a city, a town can say, you know, we're not going to allow any dispensaries within our limits. However, since the state law also allows for those cities that do have dispensaries to give permits for delivery services, if Hoboken has legalized marijuana stores, and one of them is delivery service, there is nothing to stop somebody that lives in Union City or Weehawken or Secaucus from calling up the place in Hoboken and saying, I'd like some fine shrubbery, please. So give me some of that Afghan Kush.
So speaking of Hoboken and Jersey City, they're a little more open to the idea of the legalization of recreational marijuana. And you attended a town hall meeting on Monday that Mayor Bala had in Hoboken, and many other dignitaries were there, mostly with the pro-cannabis industry there. What did you take from that meeting?
So it was a very interesting meeting, and I got to give credit to the City Council and to Mayor Bala for organizing the meeting. Bala spoke, Councilman DeFusco spoke, the head of the New Jersey ACLU spoke, as well as someone from an organization called Cannagather, and one or two other people that were on the dais, and then the community was able to put their input, and it was really about the ordinance that's before the City Council. It hasn't been voted on yet, to my knowledge, about allowing 3 permits for marijuana businesses in Hoboken and what areas that they would be allowed in. And it was basically the southern area on Observer Highway, the Central Business District, which is near the Path, and then Washington Street, I believe up to 5th, maybe up to 6th, but I think it's up to 5th.
Okay.
And then the area in the northwest corner of town by the viaduct, mostly north of the viaduct, but a little bit south on the western
So it looks
edge.
like 2 downtown, 1 uptown.
Well, potentially, right?
Potentially, right.
So there was a lot of discussion on the topic in general. There was a lot of advocates for marijuana that harped on its medicinal benefits, as if we were talking about medicinal marijuana, which we have in the state of New Jersey already. So that was a little bit too much from very impassioned and sincere people talking about, X when the topic was actually Z. So X being medical marijuana, when Z the actual topic was legal weed for everybody. Mm-hmm. And then there was a very good, very smart comment by a gentleman in the end who pointed out that
it wasn't you, was it? I know you.
No,
spoke
it wasn't me.
I
I like to think
thought you were giving yourself a little
I like to think
self-interest
my comment was also smart, but I'm not going to blow smoke up my own tush on air. I'm not a schlemiel. So what happened?
Go on our Facebook page. I'll tell you what that means, folks.
So this gentleman in the end pointed out that having a business that sells pot on the south side of town on Observer and in the north side of town near or on major arteries in and out of town doesn't make sense. It's going to increase traffic. It's out of the way.
That's actually a good point.
And he advocated putting all of the 3 dispensaries, if the city passes this ordinance, on Washington Street or in the Central Business District, maybe near the Path, because, as he said, Washington Street, everyone knows between Friday night and Sunday night, Washington Street is a crap hole. And it's true. People, I find pizza crust and chicken wings and plates and garbage all strewn all over the place.
Do you think that the legalization will exacerbate the problem that Washington Street is a crap hole? I think our police chief, Kenneth Ferranti, has been doing an excellent job at trying to curb back these alcoholics coming out, or I shouldn't say these alcoholics, but these people partying in town that are coming out late. I know we still find pizza crust and things like that. Do you think we're going to get an influx of people from Manhattan who know that's going to be legal in Hoboken? We're a hop, skip, jump away from it. We have trains, we have buses, we have ferries. Are they going to come in and they're just going to, you know, smoke weed all over our town?
So in terms of Washington Street being a garbage dump during the weekends, the potheads and the occasional recreational users will not add to that because marijuana makes them hungry. They will finish their pizza.
They'll eat the
they
crust
won't
on the
throw
street,
the crust
saying?
on the floor. They won't add to it. They won't, you know, because it makes them hungry.
In all seriousness, though, will we get this influx?
So the reality is while you know New York isn't currently considering any legislation to legalize weed,
correct.
It is de facto legal in Manhattan. They've made it so that as long as you're just carrying and not actually smoking, you get a ticket. So the incentive for Manhattanites to take the short schlep here is diminished.
And actually, it would probably be cheaper in New York, especially if they want to make it a 12% tax on it.
Well, yeah, I mean, going back to the state law, you know, with a 12% tax, the regulatory loops that people are going to have to, and the application process that applicants are going to have to apply to or go through with the state, plus that on the municipal level, is going to, and the 2% excise tax that municipalities are able to levy. That's going to make the legal bud more expensive than the illegal bud. And for the person that's not looking for a particular brand or cultivar of pot, that just wants to get high, you know, the illegal marijuana is going to be easier,
really quickly,
and cheaper to get. So there'll be a rush in the beginning because it's a novel idea, right?
Almost like sports gambling that you spoke about. Now, Councilwoman Giattino, who by the way is your councilwoman, she was at the meeting, and right after the meeting, she released a statement, and I thought it was an interesting statement. She said, "There should be no rush. This is too important. The state hasn't acted yet. Why should we take the lead on something when we have not thoroughly looked at the impact?" Do you agree with that statement?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of hot air. I'm not surprised that an elected official would make a statement that's
shocking, right?
Essentially meaningless and empty. The reality is, if you walk around Hoboken at any given time, you will smell marijuana wafting through the air out of people's apartments. So the issues that people have, that they don't want to smell it, that they don't want people smoking it indoors, and that it's going to waft into it's going to go through the walls, and they're going to smell it. Those issues already exist.
Right.
So that's the reality, and the reality is that people have been arrested and have a criminal record because of minor possession, and that's ridiculous. And that's one of the good things about the state law is that there's an expungement process. It should be automatic. That everyone that's been arrested for minor possession
so there you go.
Get it
After
off
two segments,
record.
You said something that you kind of agree with Governor Murphy on. I love it. I love it.
Well, I agree. I agree that we should. I agree that we should legalize marijuana.
Exactly. Oh, it's two. Right. Anyway, that's Josh Sotomayor Einstein, who has joined us for two great segments on the legalization of recreational marijuana. Hey, folks, join us next week here on the Pulse with Peter B., your one-stop shop for sports picks, government and politics chatter, and even some neighborhood restaurant reviews.